Welcome to another edition of Three's a Crowd. I'm your host, Preston Vargas. Eli Atwood is out today. He's traveling right now, so we'll get into it. But before we do, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more episodes like this. We post every Monday and Friday, so don't forget to tune into us those days. And now we start with a thrilling end to the wild card weekend. Three game threes on slate. From Cleveland to Chicago to New York, it was a great day of baseball for sure. But we'll start in the Bronx where the Red Sox lost 4-0 to the New York Yankees with a couple hits by Jazz Chisholm. He played good last night, and we had 4 runs total for the Yankees. No homers though. But the story of that game is their starting pitcher, rookie Cameron Schlitter, from born and raised in Massachusetts. He grew up a Red Sox fan. He was actually getting some not so nice text messages from his friends. You can understand that big rivalry, Yankees and Red Sox, but he played well. Get this, 8 innings, only 5 hits allowed, 12 strikeouts, and no walks. That's a pretty solid outing from that guy. And the Yankees will take on the Toronto Blue Jays that game tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern. And so we'll go into the next wild card round game between the San Diego Padres and Chicago Cubs. Another great series. There was a big homer in the seventh inning by Michael Busch, solo homer to make it 3-0. That was huge because Jackson Merrill homered in the ninth inning and looked like the Padres were gonna rally in the ninth inning. But a big effort there by who was it? Who got the save? Kittredge, who got the save. Keller, he got the hold. He was the one that allowed the homer to Merrill in the ninth inning. But Kittredge came in, pitched the final 2 outs, and ended up getting the save. So another solid outing for the Cubs. They're off to play Milwaukee. That series starting tomorrow at 2 o'clock Eastern time. And then the least competitive game three, although it wasn't uncompetitive, but still, Tigers beating the Cleveland Guardians 6-3. And it was 1-1 through the fourth inning. Then in the sixth, Dingler homers, and then a 3-4 run seventh inning for the Tigers extends their lead to 6-1. But then the eighth inning, Jose Ramirez uh, was safe at first after some fielding errors by the Tigers, which scored 2 runs for the Cleveland Guardians. But Tigers ended up getting the win 6-3. Um, Finnegan getting the win. Jack Flaherty 4.2 innings pitched. The Tigers are off to Seattle to take on Cal Raleigh and the Mariners. And speaking of the divisional series, let's get into that. So, in my opinion, the divisional series, the best one is the Dodgers and Phillies series. That series begins with game one at 6:30 Eastern. Shohei Ohtani on the mound for that game. That'll be his first time pitching in the postseason. Again, last year he missed the season with Tommy John surgery. Then he only started pitching again uh, midway through this season. But going against the Phillies team that has Bryce Harper, Alec Boehm, Bryson Stott, Kyle Schwarber, it's not an easy lineup to face. And that crowd in Philadelphia at postseason time is one of the best atmospheres in all of sports, in my opinion. So we'll see how that goes for that series. Then the next one we have the best series in the American League, the Yankees and Blue Jays. Aaron Judge and company going against the Blue Jays team that they actually finished with the same win-loss record in the regular season, but Toronto's hosting the series because of the regular season tiebreaker. Now, they say that regular season games don't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but they absolutely do matter when it comes to a tiebreaker like this. I mean, on the Yankees side, you have Aaron Judge going against Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and the Toronto Blue Jays. The Blue Jays have a good team, but I think the Yankees will find a way to get it done. They're the defending American League champions. I think they go to the championship series for the American League. And then going out to the West Coast, Detroit taking on Seattle. Mariners looking to get their first ever pennant. They're the only team that still has not had a pennant out of the 30 teams that are currently playing. Still the only team without a pennant going against the Tigers team that suffered a 15 game collapse to have the Guardians steal the AL Central division, but they got through them. I think that the Tigers are going to be all right at this point. I think that the key for the Tigers is game two. That's when Tarek Skubal's on the mound for the Tigers, and yeah, we'll see how he does there. It's going to be a good series. If Skubal can pitch well and win in game two, I mean, also game one's important. If you go up 2-0 in Seattle, I think you can take this series. But my pick was the Seattle Mariners to win the American League, and I'm sticking by that. In the final series, the battle of I-94 between the Cubs and Brewers, two NL Central rivals. Milwaukee, the best team in the whole of Major League Baseball. They've been to the postseason several times over the years, and the Cubs making their first postseason appearance since 2020. This was unlikely for the Brewers to win the division. I believe the can't remember who was the favorite, but I believe the Cubs were. But that NL Central's a good division. Three teams making the postseason from that division, with the Cincinnati Reds unfortunately getting eliminated by the Dodgers. That was the only sweep in the NL wildcard series. But the NL Central's good, and the Brewers have outlasted that whole division, becoming the best team in all Major League Baseball. I think they get it done. And a quick look at the postseason bracket challenge. Right now, safe to say I have a perfect record. Picked all four wildcard series correct. And on for Eli, I think he missed one, the Padres Cubs series, where he picked the Padres. Looked like he was gonna the Padres were gonna rally there, but in the end didn't get it. And we have the divisional series we have now. So let's move on to NFL football. The 49ers beating the Los Angeles Rams on Thursday night football in overtime 26-20. Several miscues by both sides. I think the Rams closed in as an 8.5 point favorite, according to several sports books. But 49ers got out to a big lead early on, and then they beat the Rams. And questionably, the Rams called on 4th and 1 in field goal range. They could have gone for a field goal to tie it at 26 and extend the game. Instead, McVay calls a run play to Kyron Williams, I believe, and then they get stopped. Now, in the post-game press conference, McVay owned it. I mean, he didn't hold back, saying that it was an awful call by him to do that. And that's the thing with head coaches. I like that this guy takes accountability for mistakes. something that we didn't have in Chicago with Matt Eberflus the past couple of years. Now, this isn't the Bears, this is the Rams, but that shows that's a good coach that calls out his mistakes. So I think the Rams will be fine, even though they fell to 3-2. But I think the Niners, they're finding ways to win. Kyle Shanahan's a good coach, credit to him. They have a good next man up mentality. Mac Jones played well in relief for Brock Purdy, who we got word that he may miss several more weeks, which is not good with that turf toe injury. So hopefully a speedy recovery from him. Mac Jones seems to be riding the ship pretty well. They got Christian McCaffrey still playing good. He had a solid game, I think 25 fantasy points yesterday. Scored a couple touchdowns, I believe. But that game, big win for the Niners. And now we move on to our games of the week. I'm gonna talk about one matchup in each of the windows from the early window Sunday, late window Sunday, and then Sunday night football. We'll start first with the Eagles and Broncos. That's a 1 o'clock game Sunday. And last week the Eagles had some trouble against Tampa toward the end. Of course, AJ Brown with that cryptic tweet. We don't know if he wants to stay in Philadelphia. He then came out, said he wants to stay in Philadelphia. But we saw this in 2023. Eagles off to a hot start. I think they went like 9-0 or something after coming off a Super Bowl appearance. Then the cracks started to form and then they fell off toward the end. So they say winning cures all, but I think that if you want to win this is going to be a good test for Philadelphia against the Broncos team that won, I believe, 28-3 over the Bengals in Monday Night Football. And the Broncos, they look good after a close loss to the Los Angeles Chargers the week before. I think this will be a good test for Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos. We'll see how they fare. In the 429 window, my game of the week is Commanders and Chargers. Jaden Daniels expected to be back for the Washington Commanders after missing the past couple games. Going against the Los Angeles Chargers team that, quite frankly, laid an egg against the New York Giants. That's a game that they should have won. They should still be undefeated going into this game. But Justin Herbert has the Chargers rolling well with Jim Harbaugh as their head coach. That should be another great matchup. We'll see how Jane Daniels plays against that Jim Harbaugh led defense. Now, Sunday Night Football, Patriots and Bills. This might be a sneaky upset alert pick. Patriots, I believe. I think this is a 10-point line from what I've seen, 8.5 point line in favor of the Bills. So I would never say never. It's an AFC East battle, and usually the Bills will lose at least one this season. But Drake May looked good last week against the Carolina Panthers. Although the Carolina Panthers, we don't know how good they can be, but after beating Atlanta 30-0, Carolina loses like 48-10 or something like that. Wasn't a good loss at New England. That's probably a confidence booster for Drake May and the Patriots. I think this will be a closer one than people think. I think it comes down to the last possession. But I think you have Sean McDermott having the more talented team with Josh Allen and all those guys. I think Buffalo is going to win that game in the end. And now our game of the week in college football. Let's shift over to that. Comes to us from Tallahassee on Saturday night. Miami taking on Florida State. I think this will be the first of two meetings between these two teams. I think we'll see both these teams again in the ACC title game. But I think this is a game that Florida State needs to win more. They lost to Virginia on the road in overtime, and I think that if Florida State loses this game, then they have a harder shot to get into the ACC title game for their playoff hopes. But for Miami, if they lose this game, it's not the end of the world. I think they can steamroll past the rest of their conference in order to get into the college football playoff. So I think if Carson Beck plays well and Miami's done what they've been doing the past for the first few weeks of the season, I think Miami wins this game. And now college football, speaking of college football, it's time for our game picks. Now, of course, as we did last week, Eli sent me his picks this morning. So let me pull up our college pick'em and we'll get started. We'll start with the Iowa State and Cincinnati game. That's going to be a good Big 12 battle. For me, I'm going to take the team that's hot right now in Iowa State, and Eli does too. Then same game, same thing at noon. Kansas State taking on Baylor. Kansas State getting a confidence win against UCF, but they're going on the road. I'm going to take Baylor. But Eli picks Kansas State. And now a big game in the SEC, 5-0 Vanderbilt against number 10 Alabama. That's a no-brainer for me. Alabama coming off a big win against the Georgia Bulldogs on the road. They're more battle tested. I'm taking the Crimson Tide. And Eli goes Vanderbilt. Texas and Florida from the Swamp in Gainesville, big SEC battle there. I believe this is Texas' first SEC test of the season. It's a road test in a hostile environment for Arch Manning. This is going to be a tough one to pick, but I think I'm going to pick Texas in this one, and so does Eli. And now Virginia, the team that beat Florida State last week, they traveled to Louisville to take on the Cardinals. For me, that's going to be a close one, but I think I'm going to give the edge to Louisville at home, and Eli does too. Then a 3:30 matchup in the Big Ten, Washington taking on Maryland. That's going to be another tough game to pick. Washington's a more talented team, but they're traveling 3,000 miles for a conference game, which for another conversation, I think that's ridiculous to travel 3,000 miles for a conference game. That's why I'm picking Maryland to win that one. And Eli picks Maryland too. Big group of five implications. UNLV and Wyoming. 4-0 UNLV Rebels. I think I'm going to pick the undefeated team. And Eli does too. Miami and Florida State. The college football game of the week. That's going to be a tough game to pick. I think I'm going to ride with Miami. And Eli picks Miami too. And now our UCF Knights hosting Kansas on Saturday night. That's a game that I'm going to be attending tomorrow night. And of course, I'm going to pick my UCF Knights to win. Eli does too. And now Duke take it on California. Another East Coast traveling to the West Coast, which this should be a Pac-12 after dark. Instead, it's ACC after dark. But this will be a close game. I think that at the end, Duke is going to win this one, and Eli's going against me picking Cal. Well, our picks are in. That's going to do it for us today. Don't forget to leave a like, share this video, and subscribe. And we'll see you again for another one on Monday. Thank you.